Initiation by Elisabeth Haich, Chapter 22, Past Becomes Present. He stood there and looked at me calmly. This radiant glance, with its heavenly peace, gave me strength to bear the soul-shaking experience and the infinite joy of seeing him again. His noble face was unmoving, but his eyes were smiling at me, and I knew that he was happy, that I had at last come fully awake and was seeing him again, for he has always seen me. His eyes have always been able to penetrate the mists covering my consciousness. He saw all my struggles, all my pains and sorrows, and he never once abandoned me. On the contrary, he has helped me to wake up and become conscious. The memory seized me powerfully, and the hazy pictures I'd been carrying around inside myself, without being able to bring them into conscious focus, suddenly became sharp and clear. New pictures emerged into my consciousness, new memories which had been lying hidden, buried in the depths of my subconscious. Now, fitting together like the stones in a mosaic, they form the perfect picture of a past life, in a land beside a great river, the Nile, in the land of the pyramids. The memory pictures came ever more alive, while the impressions of my present life gradually paled, turning over their place to the reawakened consciousness of a person I once was. The environment in which I sat, the simple little room in the house in the forest, the beautiful view out over the river in the valley, disappeared bit by bit, and he too was nowhere to be seen. The room opened and spread out about me. I found myself in a great hall, in my own chamber, and I became aware of a fat, lovable woman smiling at me joyously. Yes, of course. Today is my 16th birthday, and I am just putting on my festive robes. I am to wear them at the great reception, in which my father is to present me to the representatives of the country as his wife, successor to the queen who died in early death. In a great oval silver plate, which had been hammered and polished with loving care and high art, I see my own figure, my own picture, and I watch my dear old Menu as she dresses me. My mother died while I was still very young, and I have only a vague memory of how pale she was, how fine. In the treasure chest of my precious recollections, I still see her great sad eyes as she took her long last look at me before she died. This last, long, loving glance created a contact between us, which I still feel within me, and today, when I am to be presented to the country as her representative, I still feel this contact even deeper, even stronger. Now, fully robed and ready, I stand before my mirror, and I look at my image. I like it. I see a fine, delicate, splendid person in a beautiful robe, scintillating, silken and golden hems. The golden sash about her waist enhances her slenderness. Her broad collar emphasizes her shoulders, and the kerchief around her head accentuates the self-confident and superior expression in her face. I am vain. I like what I see in the mirror, and dear old warm-hearted Manu, who considers me the most perfect being on earth, can hardly see through the tears of joy welling up in her eyes. The two oldest representatives of the country come and lead me down the long corridor into the great reception hall. With slow, ceremonious steps, they lead me between the rows of people of rank to the great house, to the pharaoh, to my father, who is now to be my husband. He sits on a golden throne, like an image of God. It is not without reason that his name, Pharaoh, means great house. His person is the outer integument, the house of God. God lives in him, manifests himself in him, radiates through him. The power of his glance is so penetrating that people who are not completely true are compelled to look aside. He is sitting there looking straight at me, through me. I look back at him fearlessly, engaging his glance with mine. I know the tremendous power radiating from his eyes is the power of love. He sees everything. He sees that I am vain, just like he sees all my other imperfections, but he understands everything. He is love itself. He is my Father. A magnificent lion, his lion, sits motionless beside the throne, majestic and dignified. It is a symbol of the supreme power of the Pharaoh. I arrive at the steps to the throne and stand still. The Pharaoh rises, comes down, turns to the magnificent jewel box the chamberlain holds out to him, lifts out the most beautiful creation of the goldsmith's craftsmanship, a golden shoulder collar. Picking it up lovingly, he lays it over my shoulders. Then he takes the golden hoop that ends with the head of a serpent and he fastens it firmly onto the white silken cloth over my forehead. It is the symbol of the members of the ruling race, the sons of God. It is the symbol of the initiates. Then, taking my right hand, the Pharaoh leads me up to the throne. We turn to the representatives of the country and the people of rank, and he presents me as the representative of the queen, as his wife. We seat ourselves, I to his left, somewhat ahead of him. Now the people of rank, with their wives, the eldest among them first, pass by us slowly and bow low with outstretched arms before the Pharaoh and then before me. We sit motionless. Only our eyes make contact with each and all as they move by. I think of the fact that I now manifest the spirit of my dear mother, and this makes me aware of my duty and responsibility. The people of rank pass by, and I see their souls reflected in their eyes. In some, there is real love and respect. In others, envy, courtesy, or cowardly servility. The Supreme Chamberlain, Ruka, also bows before me, and he has, as so often done before, when I met him at his palace. He gives me a glance that is somewhat cynical, impertinent, and flatteringly intimate, all at the same time. I answer his impertinence with a cold stare, and the procession marches slowly onward. Then I see friends of mine, old and young, some of them former playmates, their faces full of genuine love. I meet their glances with mine, and this union enriches us. Slowly, ceremoniously, all the people pass by us, silently but united in spirit. The lengthy procession finally comes to an end. The Pharaoh stands up and reaches me his hand. Slowly we descend the steps, and walking between the rows of statesmen and people of rank, leave the room. Leading me into his chamber, my father seats himself, waves me to his seat, and looks at me smiling for quite a while in silence. I see that I am pleasing him. From head to foot his glance moves over my figure with satisfaction. Then, looking me happily in the eye, he says, "From now on, we'll see each other often, for you will take your mother's place and fulfill her duties before the public. For many years we've been preparing you for this task, and you know your duties. I want you to have a happy memory of this day of days, so you may make a wish. You've known for some time that I was going to ask you what you wanted, so tell me, what is it?" Yes, I was prepared, and like other young women, I could have had a number of wishes. I could have asked for beautiful jewelry, for I knew I could wear the greatest festive jewels only on occasions of high ceremony, or I could have wished to travel, or asked for a young trained lion, or for something else of the sort. But I didn't want any of these things. Father, I said, what is the significance of the ornament I'm wearing on my head? The Pharaoh looked at my forehead, then into my eyes, and then answered, the golden snake is the symbol of the ruling class, sons of God. Yes, Father, but it is also the symbol of initiation. I am not worthy to wear it because I have not been initiated. I want to be initiated. That's the wish I want you to fulfill for me. Father became very earnest. Ask for something else, my child, he says. You are still very young, and not yet mature enough to receive initiation. Tender young sprouts must not be exposed to hot sunshine, otherwise they burn up and they can never blossom. Wait till you've acquired the necessary experiences in earthly physical life. To be initiated now would make your later problems much, much harder for you to solve. Why cause yourself unnecessary troubles? Take my advice and wish for something else. Father, I answered, there is nothing else I want. The things other young people like just bore me stiff. Above and beyond all earthly joys, I see the wishes of the body. I like beautiful jewels very much, but even gold is a form of matter, which is made precious through a manifestation of the Spirit, through the work of the artisan. Naturally, I enjoy beautiful scenery and new sights when I'm traveling, but I can never forget that this is all creation, not the Creator. I should like to experience the highest truth in its reality. I want to learn to know God, the Creator Himself. Father, you know that what we call life is only an unreal dream. Here, everything slips out of our hand. We can never be definitely happy about anything. Everything is merely a transition between past and future. But I want to experience the eternal present, which will never become the past and which was never the future. And I want to find the condition or place which was never there before I reached it, becomes here when I reach it, and turns into there again when I go on. I want to experience the eternal present in time and space. Father, I want the highest reality. I want initiation. Even as he listens to me, Father becomes sadder and sadder. Your spiritual awakening has come earlier than it should have. He says, all I can do is to go to my brother Ptahhotep, the high priest of the temple and the head of our race. I will speak with him, and he will take you under his guidance. May God's eternal light illumine your pathway. He lays his hand on my head, and he blesses me. I should like to throw myself on his breast and thank him for granting me my wish, but my heavy golden collar holds me back and keeps me from making any sudden motions. Father, who can read a person's every thought, sees that I wanted to express my joy through this sudden outburst. In one way, you are still a big child, he says kindly, and in others, you are grown up and mature. You have to practice great self-control if you want to be initiated. I answer with a laugh, I already have self-control when I want it, Father. Yes, I believe you do, but do you always want it? He asks with a smile. It's boring to always exercise self-control, Father. Well, that's just the trouble, he replies with a loving nod. There's danger in your finding self-control boring. Just remember, if even for a second you do not keep your will directed towards your favorite lion, and if he attacks you in this weak moment, you are lost. The low self is just as much an animal in its nature as a lion is. We must both of them We must keep both of them under constant control. Then they serve us with their gigantic strength. Always pay attention. We take leave of each other. He escorts me to the door and turns me over to the two elders waiting in the antechamber. Oh, what a nuisance these ceremonies are. Why do I have to walk in such a slow and dignified manner between these two old men just to get back to my own room? I'd like to run down the corridor and burst into my room where my menu will be waiting for me, full of excitement and curiosity. But no, I have to walk with dignity and majesty, so the beautiful golden collar on my shoulders will not slip off askew. Finally, we reach my door where, with dignity and majesty, I take leave of the two elders. I walk in and stop inside the doorway so that Menu can admire me in my glittering gold ornaments. She is truly beside herself at the sight of my beauty and my majestic movements, and because, as she expresses it, I look so much like my mother. Then tell her, do you see how ignorant you are, Menu? I cannot look like anybody else, and I don't like to have to say things like that. My nose or my mouth can perhaps resemble my mother's, but can you really see me, the real me, myself? You see only my body, the dwelling place of myself, but you never see myself. How then can I look like somebody else? Oh, says Menu, if I can't see you, how come you are so beautiful? Just tell me that. If I can't see you, then what do I see here in front of me? And what I consider so beautiful is not really you, but merely the dwelling place of yourself, so you are not beautiful at all? Then don't stand there looking so proud and majestic. At this, we both burst out laughing. Despite her limited intellect, Menu can often give me such wise and witty answer that I'm ashamed of myself. Yes, she has discovered my weakness, my vanity. Then, with infinite tenderness, she removes my golden collar and the ornamental band from my head, laying them with tender care in the jewel chest, because the Chancellor Ruka is waiting outside with the two ornament bearers to carry these precious works of gold back to the treasure chamber to await the next high ceremony in court. He enters the antechamber and bows before me. This man annoys me, because I see he is not bowing out of respect for me, but because he must. He gives me another saucily intimate look, while I do my best to look dignified and as regal as possible. And then at last I am alone with Menu. Menu became my nurse when my mother died. She was, and still is, my bodily servant, and I am much more intimate with her than with the ranking ladies of the court, who have taken on the duty of bringing me up and educating me. From the bottom of her heart, Menu loves me with such infinite affection that I could do with her whatever I wanted. She has always been absolutely delighted with everything I've ever said or done, and I have never had a wish that she would not fulfill blindly if it was within her power to do so. She was always close to me, or somewhere near me, and now that I have to take on public duties beside my father, she has started to worry that I might keep her more and more at a distance. But I love her with boundless confidence, because I know and I can read in people's eyes that no one else in my father's court loves me so sincerely, so unreservedly, so completely, uncalculatingly as Menu. I saw my father only seldom during my childhood. He was and is a great man in our country, for he came to earth with the duty of guiding and governing people in their earthly life. He dedicated his life to the task of showing the sons of men how to govern a country in such a way that all its inhabitants can develop happily. This task gave him so much to do that he had very little time left for me. Every day he spent a few minutes in the garden where I was playing with the children of the royal family, or he arranged for me to visit him for a few minutes in his chamber. When I was still quite small, he would pick me up in his arms or crouch down beside me on the floor for a while, and then he would look at me with endless love, bless me, and go away. He always spoke to me just as if he were speaking to an adult. In our race, known as the sons of God, it is not considered important at all whether we've been on earth for a long time or only for a short time, or whether a spirit is living here on earth in a still undeveloped body as a child or in a developed body as an adult. This question of size and age is only considered important among the sons of men, who are so closely tied to their bodies and identify themselves with their physical instrument to such an extent that they completely forget their true nature as spirit, independent of time and place. The sons of men believe that someone can actually be small or large, but the members of our race, the sons of God, even keep their spiritual consciousness when they are born into their bodies. They never forget that only the body can be a child or an adult, and that the spirit is and always remains the same. It is neither big nor small, neither young nor old, for spirit is independent of the world, of time and space. This is why my relationship with my father was never disturbed at all by the fact that we were of different ages and seldom saw each other. As I grew older, father sometimes took me along on his walks, and when I would get tired, he would pick me up and carry me in his mighty arms as we went on talking about all the secrets of nature. I found such discourses of his extremely fascinating, and I once said to my father, "Father, I'd like to know so much about everything, just like you do." "When you are initiated," he answered, "all the secrets of heaven and earth will be known to you." I never forget these words of his, and I waited patiently for the time when I too would be initiated. Although I was always living among strange people, I never felt alone because of this. I knew my father understood me completely, and even though we were not near each other physically, I was united with him in spirit. I belonged to him, and in the same way I was united with my mother. She was no longer living in the body, yet I was indissolubly united with her in spirit. It is astounding to realize how little the unity of the spirit depends on physical togetherness. My dear Menu, for example, is almost always with me, scarcely leaving me alone for a minute, and yet I am not with her. She can love me but not understand me. She hardly thinks for herself anymore, and scarcely lives except for me. She lives in me and completely in my power, even though I do not exploit. And is completely in my power, even though I do not exploit the situation. Father told me once that one should never abuse the power arising from superiority of the mind. Right now, Menu is as happy as if my father had presented her to the court as his wife, as if she were so beautiful, and if she had been given my ornaments as a representative of the queen. Oh, my dear old Menu. And now, naturally, she asks, what wish I asked my father to grant. Initiation, of course, I reply. What? Menu cries out in horror. Initiation? You don't mean to say you want to leave the court and join the neophytes in the temple? Why didn't you ask for beautiful jewels? Or to have Imhotep, the artist, make a statue of you? Or anything else except initiation? Oh, why get so excited? I ask in return. The one and only thing I want is initiation, and that's all. And how could anything make me happy that is not in me, not myself? The jewels with which people will one day adorn my body after I have left it, when they put me into a tomb, so that people may know that I belong to the race of the sons of God. I have these jewels right now, But still, I don't feel happier in any way than before. And for the same reason, people will immortalize my outward form. Why should I wish for such things? Who cares what the sons of men will say a few thousand years from now about the statues of my outward form? The only thing which could make me happy is what is in me and what is identical with me, but not things outside myself. The only thing that can make me happy is an inward experience through which, in spite of my earthly body, I can earn the ultimate truth in life. I want to be initiated. Menu groans in desperation, as if I had asked for death itself. Oh, I know. No one can talk to you. When you have your mind set on something, it just has to happen. But I feel initiation is going to bring you into great danger. Don't wish for that. Wish for something else, please. What did the Pharaoh say to your idea? He has given his permission for me to see his brother. And now, please stop groaning. Don't spoil the whole day for me.